In this module, we shall discuss about the transfer of resources from union and state to local bodies. In our daily life, we need such basic facilities as health, education, drinking water, sanitation, drainage, solid waste management, etc. We may have watched such activities as installation or repairing of street lights, construction of local roads or renovation of a village tank, maintenance of parks and cremation ground. Who performed these activities? It is not the central or the state government, but it is the government which performs all these activities. As per the Article 280 of the Indian Constitution, it shall be the duty of the Commission to make recommendations to the President as to A. The distribution between the Union and the states of the net proceeds of taxes which are to be or may be divided between them under this chapter, and the allocation between the states of the respective shares of such proceeds. B. The principles which should govern the grants in aid of the revenues of the states out of the Consolidated Fund of India. C. Any other matter referred to the Commission by the President in the interest of sound finance. In India, the central and state legislatures are responsible for law making. The central and state governments are responsible for the implementation of laws and policies, and the judiciary interprets laws. Subjects are divided between the centre and the state on the basis of the union, state and concurrent list. The centre is responsible for subjects that fall within the union list. The states for those subjects which fall in the state list. And both the centre and the states are jointly responsible for subjects that fall within the concurrent list. There are several subjects such as education and health which states are responsible for, as they are included in the state list, but might not have the resources to address adequately. The centre can provide additional resources to meet challenges in these sectors. One of the ways it does this is through establishing centrally sponsored schemes, CSS. The government has also centrally sponsored schemes, CSS, are special purpose grants or loans extended by the central government to states to encourage and motivate state governments to plan and implement programs that help attain national goals and objectives. Centrally sponsored schemes now form a major part of the central assistance, CA, given by the centre to states to implement the state plans. Government is responsible for administration of an area, namely villages, towns or cities. The local bodies in India is categorized into two categories. The local bodies established for local planning, developmental activities and administration in the rural areas are known as rural local bodies or panchayats, and the local bodies established for local planning, developmental activities and administration in the rural areas are known as urban local bodies or municipalities. After starting this module, you shall be able to know the concept of local government, learn about local bodies both at rural and urban level, learn about constitutional provisions for local bodies, learn about devolution of functions and financial resources to local bodies, learn about the role of Finance Commission. let us now discuss about the rural local bodies. The term Panchayat Raj is comparatively innovative, emerged during the British administration. Mahatma Gandhi encouraged Panchayat Raj, a decentralized form of government where each village has to deal with its own matters. The term given by him for this vision was Gram Swaraj or village self-governance. State governments adopted it after independence, but it was not related to people. Therefore, it did not result into success. Provision of 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act. During the decade of 1990, realization occurred that without constitutional power, the self-government cannot be fruitful. Therefore, the Government of India passed the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act 1992, which became effective from 20th April 1993. The 1992 Act brought about major reform in governance in the country. The Act contains provisions for power devolution and obligation to the panchayats to both for preparation economic development plans and social justice plans and for implementation of schemes under 29 subjects listed in the 11th schedule of the Constitution. The panchayats obtain funds from three sources, which are local body grants as proposed by the Central Finance Commission CFC, funds for implementation of centrally sponsored schemes, and funds went out by the state governments on the proposition of the State Finance Commission SFC. Next is devolution of functions to panchayats. In the Constitution, Article 243G states that contingent to Constitution provisions, the state legislature may bestow the panchayats with authority and power that help them to perform as self-government institutions, and such law may contain provisions for the devolution of power and obligations upon panchayats at the pertinent level, contingent to such condition as may be given in accordance with economic development and social justice plan preparation and the implementation of schemes for economic development and social justice as may be interested to them, including those in relation to the subjects listed in 11th schedule. Next is devolution of financial powers to panchayats. Indian Constitution Article 243H states that the state legislature by law authorize a panchayat to levy, amass and affiliating such taxes, tolls, duties and fees in consonance with procedure and contingent to such limits. Allotting such taxes, tolls, duties and fees exacted to a panchayat and amassed by the state government for such purposes and conditions to such conditions and limitations. Provision for providing such grants and aid to the panchayats from the state consolidated fund and provision for constitution of such funds for crediting all monies obtained respectively by or on behalf of the panchayats and also for the retirement of such monies. Next, we will discuss about the urban local bodies. The origin of self-government had very deep roots in ancient India. According to historical records, archaeological investigations and excavations, it is supposed that there was existence of some form of self-government in the past. In the Vedas and the writings of Kautilya, the records of some travelers like Megasthenes, and in the Buddhist texts, the origin of self-government can be traced. The Ramayana and the Mahabharata also point to the existence of several forms of self-government such as Paura, Guild, Nigama and Gana, performing various administrative and legislative functions, and raising levies from different sources. Government continued till Hindu rule in the form of town committees, which were known as Goshist and Mahajan Samitis. Provisions of 74th Constitutional Amendment Act. Independence brought a new kind of activity in every sphere of public life. It opened a new chapter in the history of government in India. The present constitution came into force in 1950 and the self-government entered a new phase. The Constitution of India has allotted the self-government to the state list of functions. Since independence, much important legislations for reshaping of self-government have been passed in many states of India. Apart from the contributions made by the central government, committees were appointed in different states in order to improve the municipal organizations and administration thereunder. The 74th Amendment Act 1992 is a landmark initiative of the Government of India to strengthen self-government in cities and towns. The Act states that if municipality is diffused by the state government, election to the same must be organized within a period of 6 months. Moreover, the conduct of municipal elections is entrusted to statutory State Election Commission rather than being left to executive authorities. The mandate of the municipalities is to undertake the task of planning for economic development and social justice and implement their development plans. Next is devolution of functions to municipalities. As per Article 243W of the Constitution reveals that the powers, authority and responsibilities of municipalities etc. contingent to the provision of this Constitution, the state legislature may by law bestow a. The municipalities with such powers and authority as may be required to empower them to perform as institutions of self-government, and such kind of law may be inclusive of the provisions for the power devolution and obligations upon municipalities, contingent upon such conditions as may be laid down therein with regard to the preparation of plans for economic development and social justice, the functional performance and the implying the schemes which are conferred to them containing those in liaison to the 12th schedule listed subjects. B. The committees with such kind of powers and authority as may be required to empower them bearing the obligations entrusted to them, which include those in liaison to the 12th schedule listed matters. Next is devolution of financial powers to municipalities. Article 243X of the Constitution states that the capacity to levy taxes by and funds of the municipalities, the state legislature may, by law, entitle a municipality for imposition, collection and appropriation such taxes, duties, tolls and fees in line with such procedure and contingent upon such limits. Allot to a municipality such kind of taxes, tolls, duties and fees imposed and amassed by the state government for such kind of purposes and contingent upon such conditions and limits. Make provision for carrying such grants and aid to the municipalities from the state's consolidated fund, and make provision for constituting such kind of funds for crediting all amount obtained respectively by or on behalf of the municipalities, and also for the exodus of such amount from there. Moving on to the discussion of the Finance Commission FC's recommendations to local bodies. The Finance Commission FCX recommended a grant of rupees 4,380.93 crores for panchayats, predicted at the rate of rupees 100 per capita for the rural population according to the 1971 census. Municipalities proposed a grant of rupees 1,000 crore. The FC11th proposed a grant of rupees 8,000 crore in respect of panchayats and rupees 2,000 crore in respect of municipalities. The FC12th assigned grant of rupees 20,000 crore in respect of panchayats and rupees 5,000 in respect of municipalities. The FC13 proposed that a fraction of the divisible pool for local bodies predicted at rupees 87,519 crore for the entire award period, after transforming them into grant in aid under Article 275 of the Constitution. For each year of period of award, the grant is decided on the basis of the dividable pool of the last year. Of this, the grant made to panchayats was rupees 63,051 crore and the grant made to municipalities was rupees 23,111 crore. Next is criteria for allocation of funds to local bodies. The FC10th distributed its award exclusively on the basis of population based on the 1971 census. The FC11th allotted a weightage of around 40% to population 1991 census, 10% to the area and 20% to the distance from highest per capita income. The FC12th retained the weight by FC11th for each of these three criteria but used the 2001 population data for distribution. The FC13th incremented the weight affixed to population to 50% and maintained the weight allotted to area at 10%, while they retained the weight assigned to distance from the highest per capita income at 20% for urban local bodies. For rural local bodies, this was reduced to 10%, and a new criteria, proportion of scheduled caste SC and scheduled tribe ST population with a weight 10% was introduced. Apart from these three common criteria, others like index of decentralization, revenue effort, index of deprivation, index of devolution and Finance Commission grant utilization index have been used by different finance commissions. In the distribution of grants, factors such as population, area and deprivation related indices take into account the resource needs of the states. Other criteria such as index of decentralization, index of devolution, revenue mobilization linked the quantum of grants to the efforts of states to decentralize or to empower the local bodies. Let us now summarize what we have learnt in this module. Local bodies play a crucial role to empower the life of rural people of India. Both 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Acts give constitutional status to these rural and urban bodies. Local bodies now have more powers to implement their plans for development of an area and social justice. Local bodies receive funds mainly three sources, that is Central Finance Commission CFC, from central government through centrally sponsored schemes CSS, and from state government through State Finance Commission SFC.